With that, I believe we are into draft is Cannon on the table. We were talking about the top lane, the presence of the Cassandre, that's going to be open. Cannon, the big bookie man of the format, that is open as well. Run me through, how do you think this is going to be occurring, as we have the first pick on blue side being the Wukong being secured by the three-headed dogs.
Yeah, it's Wukong, of course, being the first pick on the side of Draktar to just secure his most comfortable champion. Like, aside from Levi, I would argue that he's maybe the best Wukong in the league right now. With him, like, I think he played 11 regular split games on it and actually won 8 out of them, which is a very good win rate for a stable champion. And as this goes to the side of SBTC, they actually kind of pull away from what we were expecting initially, with not going for the Jinx, but going for the Zeri instead. Zaya, of course, being banned away by Cerberus. This is something that is a surprise to me, as I would expect like this to be like Artemis' most renowned champion in the recent times in general. So they just go for the Zeri first pick. Might actually still go for something like the Annie as they are going right now. Deny that pickup from the side of Yado. What I now want to see from Cerberus is picking your ADC right now to just prevent it from getting pinned from SBTC's next rotation of bans.
Looks like it's going to be that, and presumably the Nautilus comes in from Run OP because he plays 2 champions. One of them is banned already, so pick up the Nautilus straight away. And from there, that lets you have a little bit of flexibility and freedom. You can, you can feel safe, relatively safe taking the Lulu. You can flex the Annie, of course, to support position if you want. So maybe I feel a jungle pickup comes in next for the side of DK. And there it is. There's the Vi currently being considered.
One of the things
being looked in.
One of the things that we didn't really consider is the support matchup. Ronob and Palette have been the staple of the VCS in this bot lane, in this setup. They haven't had the most success in recent years, but when you think about iconic supports in the VCS, these are 2 possible players that come to mind. We're all through from the days in Saigon Jokers for Ron OP, or the Saigon Fantastic 5 for him, and for Palette, making even some international splashes when there's rumors of TSM wanting to pick him up as well. Now, this is going to be a battle of supports here. What do you want to see Palette pick up against this Nautilus?
What I could see him pick up something like a Fresh here, because it would just be such a good disengage tool against the Nautilus especially. I mean, the Nautilus just being picked up instead of the Fresh on the side of Cerberus, just to have this guaranteed lockout on the Zeri with the Death Charge coming out to just prevent him from moving around, and also the Vi being a pickup on the side of SBTC. Just prevent that from being potentially on the Cerberus side. So what I expect is something like the Fresh, but they also can just go for any Enchanter support basically to just enable the Zeri as much as they want. Something like the Lulu would be possible there, but I think it's very risky to just draft Zeri Lulu against Jinx and Nautilus on the side, especially of Artemis and 1OP, who are very strong 2v2 bot lane in general. Not as strong as they have been in recent years, but right now it's still just very much of a gamble to pick this volatile bot lane here. So I would expect a Fresh, but I could also see them going for Lulu.
Right, so SBTC can have the card space up at the moment, but CS knows what's coming. They know that they're going to go all in on the Slater train. Lots of engagement on Nautilus, lots of engagement from the Wukong. You're probably expecting a Lulu or something like that, which is what you could expect when you have an Annie and Vi in the mid lane. But what do you think can be picked up here on 4-5 Mubby that you think can change the fates of SBTC possibly?
Well, this is what I was going to say. I always think Braum is a good answer into Nautilus. He can absolutely shut that pick down completely. It might have been better on an R5, see what the solo lane's going to come out with, what they were going to come out as first, but you feel pretty comfortable with that Braum pickup. Ari now going to be locked in, so I think Braum is going to be a good piece of defense for the Zerian. Now we're going to see where Pun wants to go with his top lane pick. If they lock in that Malphite, we've seen the Swain come out as a potential answer, and as an answer in the past, so that might just be the way for it. Oh wait, no, it's Enpa. I've got my teams mixed up. So,
Pun was on the Swain.
Pun was on the Swain. Yeah, I thought Cerberus was red side for some reason, but they are not. No, so yeah, I wonder what's left for Enpa. A tank would be a good option. Is a decent option into the top side, but it's not a huge Emperor champion. But Ornn it is. It's all about Slater, baby.
Right. So I think we have both teams stacked up on both sides. I think SBT is going for starting this series with a statement. This is perhaps maybe the ammo for the series. Everything on the Slater. We're playing front to back team fighting with Slater as a central carry piece. Want to sum it up for me, Chris, just what CES's response by this to be?
Well, what I really like from Cerberus is that they actually neutralize the top lane matchup pretty decently, because usually they like to put part on the weak side, and they actually got a tank versus tank matchup against Antler, who likes to play carries a lot. However, Antler has been a player that definitely played a bit of all and was surprisingly successful on this pickup, so it's actually a decent fit for the start of SBTC in my opinion. And they also got the better support matchup, and they got Braum into Nautilus, which is something that the Nautilus dislikes to play very much, and also a good mid-jungle duo to really focus down Yado's Ari in the early game. And if Yado can play respectfully, and if the bot lane plays the way I expect it to happen with Artemis and 1OP pulling out ahead in the long term, I think Cerberus can win this game.
Right. Great summary of that. And with that, let's head over to Costas, who will be delivering us the broadcast for this game.
Thank you very much, Desk. Oh yeah, welcome back, Mobby. Long time no see. As we're jumping into our first game of the series here in our losers bracket final, trying to determine who it is that's going to be going on to our VCS 2023 spring finals to take on GAM Esports. And what a first game as well. Not crazy carries from a bunch of different positions. We had a little bit of damage here and there in the mid lane, but for the most part, it is a bot lane versus bot lane focused matchup. I think for good reason between these two teams.
Yeah, both these teams, so especially if you lean towards the regular season and historically, these bot lanes have been where the bread is buttered for their respective teams, and this has just been, and it's just looking like we're gonna go back to this. It's just an extended 1v1 essentially, as it's all about setting up for that AD carry to bring you home the Nexus, and it's gonna be a little bit interesting. Slater playing it a little bit riskier, not wanting to run the cleanse, has that Braum beside him, so we'll hopefully be able to get in there and block, say, the charms and the hooks coming on through for him, so he doesn't necessarily need to rely on that as much, and you can't do anything about the knockups, so just take Ghost.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is that, or at least maybe this is a distinction that's been pointed out by the desk, but I think it's worth kind of re-highlighting here. You've got like Malphite into Ornn to begin the game. Malphite's got a ton of power. I think we've seen that displayed in a couple of other kind of games in the VCS and in plenty of other places around the world. Wukong into Vi is a solid matchup to kick off the game. Like the Wukong has won that duel more often than we've been able to see. In fact, I think it was Drakthar who actually got absolutely devastated in this one-to-one matchup right at the tail end of the regular season, where he wasn't allowed to farm for like the first 5 minutes of the game or something, because I think it was DNK that actually yoinked every single one of his camps or something like that on this exact same matchup. And then obviously, again, without the cleanse, you have to worry about things like Rana P's ultimate, the cleanse, or the charm coming through. So there's a lot more agency for Cerberus at the beginning of the game versus Zeri scaling and Ornn scaling to be able to provide free items and free gold and stuff. Is that a bearing that you're picking up in this game?
Yeah, I think the aiming for the sort of your scaling is the way, because I mean, you think about Malphite, he sort of gets bullied around a little bit, then has kill pressure at 6, but you're not gonna have that against a Ornn realistically, unless Emperor really stuffs it up. So, or of course Drakthar comes along. So that should neuter a little bit of what the Malphite wants to get done, especially in the early stages of the game. So at that point, you're not quite as scared of him. You can kite back a little bit more. You can play it a lot safer. And all in all, it's been quite well. I've also liked the sort of mind games from SBTC. They walked away from their minions just a little bit to fake putting a ward into that Tribrush, so that meant Drakthar just didn't even poke his head in towards that bot side and went away as the pings did come down. But now they're able to push in quite freely and get wards down for a potential reset and second clear.
Yeah, it hasn't been anything too crazy. Both of our junglers just finishing up their first clears now, and it seems like there's basically no opportunity for Vi, and there's very limited opportunity for Drakthar here on the top side. And even in mid lane, I mean, the push in onto DL1 means the DL1's not really in a position to be ganked either. So it should just be a full clear, and both junglers are kind of sitting on that right now. They're finishing up the crab, there's nowhere for them to gank, and they're probably just going to end up backing with nothing else to really be able to do. You could see, yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a wraparound here for DNK, who has to avoid this Tribrush ward. With this ward, they know that the Krugs are now gone. You have to make the assumption that either A, Drakthar took these out of vision, which is why DNK drops a second ward, or they're waiting for the Wukong to show back up, which I guess DNK is not going to be patient enough to actually wait for it to show up. They're not going to wait for Cerberus to push up, and instead, again, both junglers get away on this first clear without making too much impact.
Yeah, that second ward drop is a little bit of a strange one, because it's not like if it was a little bit deeper to check one of the entrances, maybe check up towards those raptors. He will be spotted on this one, and maybe no, he won't be spotted quite yet, but as an idea, so like you can see when the Wukong is coming into the jungle, and you can sit around a little bit, and then if Wukong makes his way down here, you just hit the reset button. But as it is right now, it's just going to be a bit of time, a bit of opportunity to spot him and get an exact timer on those Krugs. We have Yado on the roam against Dia, but he's going to find himself caught out a little bit here. Just a bit of trading, but it's gonna make Yado's life a little bit more annoying, make his roams a little bit less effective, as now we're just waiting for seeing the top laners keep whacking at each other, and for having the advantage of being able to build the Barmy Cinder in lane means he should be a little bit happier and can delay his back a lot longer than Pun has to.
The faith that I'm holding out here is that, again, if SBTC allows this game to go forever and they start getting onto Ornn itemization, start getting onto Zeri itemization, there should be a relatively easier team fight coming through for the team, because eventually Jinx is going to have to step up, even if you have rapid fire cannon, even if you've got the range advantage like Artemis has. Artemis is also really prone to being very aggressive in the positioning, which means more potential punishment from DNK, from Enper, from Palette, from Dia1, from all of these members that have that. Which is something you have to pay attention to. With all the through damage that you've got from Slater coming out in the late game, especially again with that kind of extra gold on top of the Ornn itemization, if you let this game go too long as the side of Cerberus, it feels like you're going to be in a rough situation, especially when you consider that Slater's been an insane carry for this team, literally all split. In the same way that Artemis always has been for the side of Cerberus, Slater has really stepped up for this team and been the big difference maker that's allowed them to step into this position, as opposed to SBTC falling off a cliff in the middle of the split and ending up missing playoffs and a lot of other positions and a lot of other splits. This split, because of the way that Slater and Palette have really stepped up, they actually made that transition towards being a top team. And so I don't know that that's a contention you want to take. If I'm Cerberus, I feel a little bit more pressed to try to make some early action happen. Yet here they are, giving up first dragon in the game off the back of bottom side pressure, really just yielding quite a bit to what it is that SBTC is kind of doing around the map.
That's an answer, I suppose, as we've found the kill into the mid lane. I was gonna actually sort of say, how does Yado? I was interested to see how Yado would be playing out the Ari build, but. He just...
Dia1. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Get wrecked. That's just his fault. He steps up to try to deny the back, and then the flash charm from Yado is perfect to be able to deny him. And it is first blood. Again, this is a champion that Yado is very comfortable on, so you don't necessarily want to be giving gold over like that. It's not the end of the world by any standard. Certainly an unforced error there by Dia1.
Yeah. Yado capitalizing on Dia's greed and aggression pretty well there. And I'm interested to see where he goes. He's picked up the early Doran's ring. I want to see how much damage he's willing to put in, or if he's going to be playing full setup Ari for Artemis, because I think it might come down to a little bit of which four-man squad can assassinate the other ADC better. And going up against an Annie, Vi, and an Ornn might make a Ari with no damage a little bit rough.
Okay. Flash from Pun. Drakthar's coming in as well. That's going to be the ultimate popped. Another ultimate coming through from Ornn. They are just going to catch him. That's 3 members who are able to bring him down, and DNK is going to be able to get the kill, as it was a proxying Pun. Didn't think he was going to have to leave. That's going to be Dia1 knocked up by the Cyclone. That's going to be Zeri in the mid lane as well. Slater is going to get knocked up too, but Drakthar is in a rough position. Has to flash to get over the wall. Now Slater is going to slide and continue. See if is Yado going to be able to help? No, he's not. He doesn't have the charm really be able to. He's not going to come through. Slater's going to continue just dropping damage. There's the charm, but it doesn't matter. Slater just gets out of it after the dash, gets out of tower range, and 2 kills over to the Zeri.
Okay.
Disaster.
Yeah, I thought this was going to turn out pretty okay for Cerberus. They'd end up trading overall the kill onto Malphite and the Rift Herald just for some plates. Like, it's going to be a negative play, but you're getting something back on Artemis because Slater made them roam up. But Slater, with that Ghost, just able to run down both Yado and Drakthar. And with those 2 kills in pocket, you just pretty much win everything. Like, 1 plate is definitely nothing back in that situation.
Now DNK, I think, wanting a little bit more. Waiting for the Grom to get aggressed against. He's going to be in the tri-brush, so he's going to see that Drakthar is taking that camp if he stands far enough down. No, he's just waiting for a gank onto the top lane here. So here's Pun and Palette. Also, everybody's showing up to the top lane yet again, trying to punish the Malphite just a little more. The swap from Slater and Palette up to top side with DNK having this Rift Herald. Might have wanted to yield some tower plating of some kind here for the duo, but they aren't stepping up to do it quite yet.
Yeah, I think with DNK currently clearing Krugs, just still maybe not having a perfect track on that Malphite ultimate, unsure. Feeling a little bit unsafe to step up against him a little too far under tower. But as it is, it's going to work out just a little bit slow. Nothing really being traded on either side of the map. But it's actually going to be in a rotation into the mid lane from Cerberus to try and maybe find a pick onto Dia, find some pressure into these mid lane plates. But
yeah, I mean,
can be matched.
After everything is said and done, the only thing that really ends up kind of getting traded off is that you get this Raptor camp in exchange for bot wave that just got dumped. And Artemis is going to come down and catch kind of the residual of this bot wave that got shoved in by Emperor. They're going to go back to normal, say, lane assignment, so like the Zeri and the... Okay, this is the other trade-off, is this plate that ends up going over. In fact, actually, it might be more than 1 plate. So somehow and in some way, it looked like SBTC got caught up in their own little world right there for a 1/10 of a second, and they said, hey, let's make a bot swap, let's try to play towards topside, let's try to get plates against Pun, don't drop it. And they actually just fumbled 2 plates in topside to the Malphite and a plate in bot side, as well as a free camp going over to the side of Drakthar in exchange for the 1 wave. So that's going to be Palette, and it's going to be the Vi jumping onto Drakthar as they find him on the rotation on his red buff. There was warding that was traded off. Maybe that was the intended play the whole time, but
Yeah, it looks like initially they wanted to try and make a play onto Drakthar earlier in that top side, but now they ended up rotating it all back around. They fumbled the rotations a little bit and lose 2, but getting that kill back will recover it quite quickly with this Rift Herald jump. They pick up 1, they can pick up a couple more with ease, as my feet freezes a little bit. Okay, no doubt.
That's a hook underneath the tower. Slater is going to get ulted as Artemis is trying to put some additional damage in, but Palette blocking very effectively, as it's going to be 3 plates getting dropped off the bottom tower. Ends up being a worthwhile trade. Yado's here as well, but not likely to be able to find much. Here comes Drakthar too. It's going to be jumping in, trying to find something. That's going to be a hook coming down from Ron OP. A little bit of damage traded back onto Yado, onto Ron OP as well. Palette's very low. There's Drakthar jumping in onto Slater. Slater's almost certainly dead. That's 1. Now Artemis wants to throw down damage, has the traps out, has to force the flash out of DNK, because that's going to be 1 going down. Now Artemis has to push you to maybe try to pull a second tower play. DNK is going to hang around for a 1/10 of a second, but there's not the health bar, because it should be an additional wave. DNK's stuck around. He's going to stop Drakthar from backing, not paying attention, asleep at the wheel. And so because of that, DNK gets a trade kill.
Yeah, with that, it actually comes out positive for the side of SBTC, as Diaz just able to take out 2 plates in the mid lane by himself. It's a 1-for-1 kill, yet sits a shutdown onto Slater, so that's a nice bit of gold going over to, I think it was Yado picking that up, but regardless, it is... Actually, no, it wouldn't be Yado, it'd be Drakthar, so that's coming out pretty good as... Oh, okay, another...
Warren ultimate. There's a flash. That's going to be a stun, and that's just going to be a dead combination, or a dead Ahri, as Yado gets jumped on by the side of SBTC's top laner. And another dragon going over to this team. For a minute there, it looked like Cerberus had some counterplay, but here's what I'm guessing happened. I'm guessing SBTC, after that really weird kind of topside fumble, their fullest intent was to try to make a play on bot side towards that bottom lane to get like plates or to try to push back Artemis and Ron OP. They happened to find Drakthar by happens chance on a ward in their red side jungle, and because of that, that's why DNK was able to go in and find just like a free kill, then set up that bot side push, and then the aggression from Cerberus bringing in Yato off the roam against DO1, bringing back in Drakthar after the kill reset, ended up winning. It was a positive play, but again, the issue is that if Drakthar hadn't gone down and he was able to kind of shadow for Artemis, they would have picked up an additional plate, maybe 2 additional plates on that bottom tower, and everything goes fine. Instead, DNK picks up a kill, shoves Artemis away from that, and then Yato is stuck in a weird position where there's 2 people that are off the map late, there's no jungler to help support you, and Emperor is just like, hey, what if I just roam mid lane and we try to make a play here against this Ahri? And what do you know? It works out really effectively. So the entire map crumbling all at once here to the side of SBTC off of Cerberus, trying to salvage some kind of play from this original Rift Herald shift that they set up.
Yeah, you only really ended up trading for some extra damage, some extra plates onto Pun overall. So, and with the Ornn staying pretty close, he's pretty much even in CS. He's still on pretty much that same item break point of the Sunfire Cave. It doesn't actually matter all that much as long as you can make sure that Pun can't really get that follow-up damage through if he ults onto Slater. But that's because that's the only real threat you have to worry about right now. But if Braum just stands on top, it's going to be ult in and then a very quick stun up and run away for the Seri, you would imagine. So now second Rift Herald, it's looking to be the play. Currently, it's inside track for Cerberus. They kind of need this win. They've already lost they're already bleeding out about 4,000 gold down. This will be a nice little boon in their pocket, and with objective bounties in there, it'll be even nicer. So I'm a little bit surprised that there's no contest at all, not even a poke in from SBTC, given the extra gold onto that objective. But
I mean, why risk any amount of the gold? Again, this is a team that scales well. You got Zeri's range. You still have like a ton of damage on BO1 that's going to be coming out. You still have Warren itemization, and they're up 2 dragons. Like, worst case, they can sit here for the next 20 minutes of this game and not be really all that worried about a Dragon Soul coming through. Mountain Dragons are going to make it more difficult to try to make it play this game out. But again, by the time Orm items come through, like that Dragon Soul is going to be mostly neutralized by that bit of advantage. And it means eventually that like Slater's still going to be super strong. A lot of members of this team are going to be super strong. So why coin flip? I mean, there's no reason to. Let them have that. Let them have a tower with it. Let them take a whole tower. Take mid tower. Take top tower with the Rift Herald. Who cares? I mean, they're in a fine position to just sit and wait in this game, especially if they can bait out like a Rift Herald play that takes, if Cerberus says, hey, we're going to put this top or mid, and then you have to respond by going away from Dragon, they can just say, nah, like, you have the tower, we'll take the Dragon, we'll leverage this into a potential soul point, we'll make you fight us on our turf, or at minimum, we'll just sit and scale for the next, again, 15 minutes for absolutely nothing. Without any response from you. So it's up to Cerberus to figure out what their job is. And I want to know what you think. What is Cerberus's job in this? Because right now, they're on a track to lose this game.
So currently, your main goal is to try and get some kind of use out of this Rift Herald. Ideally, you can find a push into the mid lane. Group up as 5. Utilize that range from the Jinx rockets to try and break out open that mid lane turret. Gets you a nice bounty of gold, gets you access into the enemy jungle a little bit easier, allows you to play a little bit more aggressive, and it also requires SBTC to make bigger risks to attack you. So that's the ideal. The free gold on the top side is always the option if you're Rift Herald management. If you can't find the best, the ideal angle, and you just need that free gold, so that'll be good. But with Dragon coming up and spawning right now, you can use this, you can bring everybody in close, try and break that open, force SBTC to sort of back off away from this river control and pick yourself up a Dragon on top of it if everything goes according to plan, which might not. But now we're seeing Yato arrive, we're seeing Pun grouping back up, so this looks to be the play.
Okay, it's very obvious what Cerberus are doing right now is, okay, they're going to find a pull on a Palette. They're going to get trapped up, even with the shield that Palette's taking a solid amount of damage. Drakthar pops the Cyclone in an attempt to get him on the back way through. Ornn Ultimate's basically, it's only going to find the one as its Drakthar gets caught up. Now, Emperor basically stuck in no man's land, going to find all the damage that they need. Actually, great positioning by Pun, who's going to find a couple with that ultimate as well, as that's a big team fight deal. One's going to go down. Now the Vi ultimate trying to find a bit of damage onto Yado, a little bit more. Slater, Palette kind of pushed out the backside of the fight, as it's still going to be Pun getting aggressed against by the side of DNK. Slater very low right now, as that's now going to be a push up into the mid lane. The Rift Herald helped out that push quite a bit, as a one fight from Cerberus comes out of nowhere, and now they should be able to grab up mid tower and Dragon, which will help them extensively in this game.
Yeah, the Rift Herald play was actually really great. It was a huge fumble by SBTC, a huge scatter moment. They did not know what they were trying to achieve there, and it's going to be. Well, I don't think it went exactly as planned, but it worked out perfectly, because the Rift Herald drops, Emperor goes for the flank, and the rest of SBTC tries to kill the Herald, but they don't even. But Pun's re-engage last second keeps the Herald alive. It gets the charge, which means even though the fight is won because Dia goes down here off of Pun's ultimate, they can actually convert into the tower and pick up the Dragon instead of just having a health bar on the tower. That would mean they'd only have to be able to settle for one.
Yeah, it's about as winning a situation as you could ever hope for. And again, to me, the positioning of Pun is what really did it right there. SBTC couldn't really step up to help out their top laner in any way, because if they did, Pun was going to all four of them without having to burn Flash or without having to burn any sort of summoner spell, which is insane value for the Malphite ultimate, that even if you end up don't getting any support from the rest of your team, which was clearly not going to be the case, they're going to be able to kill both and support that fight. But even if you only get the 4, you end up trading 1 for 1 with the health bar differences between the two teams. It was going to be really hard for SBTCE to contest that Dragon anyway. So again, they pulled off. They were like, hey, we can't really tank the Pun ultimate. Pun goes for it anyway. They end up finding a couple kills on the back end, finding the Dragon. And it's still not the perfect position for Cerberus. They're down 2,000 gold. But again, at least they found something to fight back with. It was a really, really amazing kind of setup to get them back in even argument or discussion for this game.
Yeah, they found a lot of map pressure, a lot of control, and about 2,000 gold in it. And it was actually possible because of Dia going for this Luden's Echo. He wanted to be a big threat Artemis has to contend with, but as a result, he didn't have a stopwatch in that last fight. He didn't have the extra health of that Rod of Ages that we typically see, so he was actually a viable assassination target for Pun. And they jumped him in, they found him, and now it's an angle for Cerberus to try and get back into it. We're gonna see a little bit of a lull state right now, but it's pressure coming in from the side lanes for the side of Cerberus. They are currently controlling the map extremely well. And another pick onto Palette.
If Palette can't go anywhere, trapped up, I mean, hooked up. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You're just gonna hand another kill to Artemis. Like, there's nothing else to be said right there. As Palette kind of got left behind. If I had to take a wild guess, I'm guessing Slater had to slide away, and there wasn't much that the Braum was able to do to follow. So you don't have that same kind of range. And now they're gonna walk at Baron, as there's a bunch of wards down, but you can't replace any of them, as you don't have your number one kind of ward carrier here on the map with the support. You also don't have the Braum to be able to block a lot of that CC we were talking about for Slater, which means it's going to be difficult. No cleanse means he's susceptible to the Ari charm, susceptible to Rod OP, and no ultimates burnt either. So you do have a bit of a chance. That's going to be a stun up. That's going to be a trap lineup, as well as Emperor can't really do much. They're going to go for the play afterwards. This is going to be Pun brought back into the rest of the team. Ornn Ultimate's going to get pulled, but the Ornn Horn is not going to be able to be recalled to throw through the rest of the team. Is this 2 kills to the side of Cerberus as they continue to fight back. Mobby, gold leads down to less than 1,000.
Yeah, that was a very, very bold play coming out from Cerberus, but Emperor kind of hands them that kill that they were actually there to look for, and now Pun's gonna back up, get his mythic, and they are just crawling their way back forward. Play into the mid lane though. Should net SBTC a tower, but Tibbers is not gonna have quite enough to kill Artemis. As SBTC, they are not gonna just let it go completely. They're gonna get in there, gain control over the Baron Pit once again, and still try and fight back for control of this map. They still have a dragon advantage. They still have a small gold advantage. They should still be okay taking fights, but they just need to be a little bit more careful of these hooks from Ron OP, taking catching Paulette where he's not meant to be.
And I'm curious where a lot of this gold advantage is actually at. If I'm looking through itemization, I mean, right now at least, I'm not seeing where specifically it would be. You clearly have like the 50 CS advantage. Actually, would you look at that? I do really love our production team. Slater currently leads over top of Artemis by about 500 gold, something like that. And this was the big difference, is the Dia 1 difference is what I was really looking at, which is shocking because the items don't show until right now when he actually gets that Hextech alternator, and that is the big difference between Dia 1 and Yato at this point in the game. But that Annie's range has clearly been a bit of a deterrent here for Annie to be able to step up into the pocket, so harder to utilize that damage as Dia 1 in this game, and I think that's copped up a couple of times. Not to mention, Cerberus usually really known for kind of pick or for team fighting, not accustomed to seeing them utilize these pick tools so effectively. Ron OP and Pun have been doing a great job at just finding individual members who are out of position and punishing them crazily. As now we've got this weird split. SBTCE has kind of the track to go right to Baron. They've got mid lane control at the moment, but Cerberus walking directly to Dragon, calling their bluff, saying you're not going to be able to do this. And now they've got river control. Pun has a flank on the side. DNK is going to find him. So that should be an easy Dragon pickup. Nothing there. Cerberus doesn't really lose much health. They don't lose many resources. Instead, they're just here ready to go. That's an ultimate onto DNK. Now it's going to be a rocket and a kill from Artemis. And now things are going to get started up here as that's a drive in from Drakthar trying to find something. Or an ultimate's going to go through the majority of the team. But now Artemis is going to get excited as he's got to find damage on multiple members here. Artemis is going to drop a rocket in one position. That's going to be an Imper kind of jumping onto the front line as Dia 1's going to get stunned up. Everybody else, a lot of members here from the side of Cerberus were brought down. The Tippers is driving Artemis out of the fight.
No.
Finally gets leashed as that's going to drag him away just as Artemis was feeling the threat. As SBTC walks away unscathed despite losing a member at the front end. The damage was there. Everybody got clustered, and Dia 1 punished effectively as finally they get some breathing room.
Oh yeah, actually SBTC kind of cleaning up on the back front. I thought it was going much worse for them as I saw them as the bear snapped away. I was like, oh no, they needed that kill on Artemis, but no, turns out they didn't. Even with Slater going down, they could not cut through Emperor, and they turned out to win that fight, pick up another tower. They do lose the dragon though, so let's actually see how this plays out. It starts with DNK being completely cut off, but it's two big ultimates down that they don't have for this fight. And despite Slater being in a rough position, it's a huge ultimate over the entire team for Emperor, and then he gets to just sort of stand in the middle, put in a decent amount of work with his Sunfire Cape as Tibbers really does the dirty work. Dia keeping safe with the Azonias, and it's just the bear slapping them around.
Yeah, in that fight again, Dia 1, Tibbers actually did probably the most damage of anybody, or very close to the most damage. But Emperor's damage was also really good. Like, Emperor did so much work inside of that fight. I'm curious why they pulled the trigger on the side of Cerberus. I know they had an angle for Artemis to be able to kind of deliver auto attacks, and they were down a whole member, but they had just burnt their biggest team fight initiation in Pun, and then of course it was the second Drakthar Cyclone that really got his team into the right position, which means they were down a lot of their kind of initial front-facing engagement before the fight even really kicked off. Again, I don't think it was necessarily a bad play. I think grand scheme of things, picking up the dragon was probably the big boon here, as that means it's going to be even harder to try to kill Artemis as this game continues to tick forward. But nonetheless, there's another ultimate. Is they're going to try to find something. That's a bit of a pick on to Emperor. Emperor doesn't step on the trap line. That's just a dead Pun. Like, I don't know. That was a bold call to say the least there, Pun, but he's going to fall down to the side of SBTCE.
Yeah, that was a solo onto the tank. Slater didn't even have to flash away from it or anything. That sure was the decision. And now that's going to be a pretty easy Baron start. Dia just has to go find and check Drakthar. Oh, never mind. It's DNK who's going to do that.
Yeah, Drakthar is going to get brought down on the backside of the pit. The Cyclone was not able to get him out. The Clone was not able to get him out. And now the members of Cerberus are scattered to the wind here as they're going to try to grab bottom tower. They're going to grab up what necessary resources they can, any amount of gold that they can, as now SE back in control of this game, back up about 4,000 gold. They're going to be able to clean up a couple of towers here, as well as Slater is going to be able to get quite a bit of juice here. Already up a little bit over top Artemis, not a ton, probably like half an item or something like that. Now it's probably going to be closer to a full item after this Baron buff goes over to the squad, making it a lot harder to contest for these dragons, especially the one in about a minute and a half. It should easily go to the side of SBTCE.
Yeah, and that 4 items is actually going to look to start building that. Probably going to look to start building that armor penetration. So this double Mountain Drake Malphite is not going to feel quite as tanky as he should. We saw how long it took for him to die in what was essentially a 1v5, but now he's not even going to be able to sit there and buy time with his health bar. Or, well, at least once the items start to come through from Slater, still looking for that reset S. Just a cheeky DNK moment. Gonna take that. Gonna keep setting up this bot lane wave, make sure they can get the Baron buff to try and crack open a little bit more. They unfortunately already took the tower. Unfortunately for them, they took the mid lane in a tower, so that sort of 3-1, that sort of 4-1 in the mid jungle mid bot lane can't quite play out exactly the way they want it to and get maximum priority. And as a result, it's going to end up being traded on the top side by Yano.
Yes. Here's the push up into mid lane. That's going to be a bit of a play on a pun, but it's not going to lead to too much Slater. Instead, just focusing on the tower, the remaining members here to zone them off. And with that, mid inhibitor tower going to get cracked. Mid inhibitor probably going to get cracked before having to retreat to the dragon anytime soon. Using the most of this Baron buff, I think, is the right play here. I think if they had gone direct to dragon, they would have been wasting a lot of the potential that this buff had, as they've already taken the gold lead up to about 3,000. I kind of would have loved to see if they could have cracked this bot in mid inhibitor tower at minimum, but again, I think if you overreach for it, you end up giving up members, you end up giving up the dragon. The game has a lot more counterplay for Cerberus, so just kind of turning tail, saying, hey, we don't have time for this, we're not going to worry about this, instead turning for their to me, what is the true objective of the game at this point is both teams' win condition seems to now be the dragon soul as it goes on. That's going to have complete control here for the side of SBTC. Even if they have to fight around it, they're up 5k. They have a better marksman at the moment. The front line's feeling better. Ornn items are also very much in swing, as I think we're really close to getting almost every member onto full Ornn itemization that you would ever need. SBTCE is starting to run away with this one.
Yeah, just waiting for Palette now. Which, it's not. If you actually go, I think if you actually go through the itemization, the tier list, getting that support item done earlier is more efficient, but it doesn't really matter. It's just waiting for a little bit more gold, a little bit more experience rather onto Emperor. As I get a freezy screen.
I am also frozen right now, so do not worry.
Okie dokie. Now I have a blank screen, so I can't even create a mini map. Hold on. Alright, let's have a looky here. We're seeing, so with the dragon gone, rotation's gonna have to be made up to the top side. That's what they're currently trying to do, and not trying to knock down this last outer tower, and that is okay. That's exactly what the only option left really for the side of SBTC. They've got Annie slowly pushing on the bot side. Here we go. A bit of a fight starting things off, as that's going to be initial pick. Guardian Angel now down here for the Zeri. A bit of Ornn ultimate kind of being thrown through, but nobody's put any pressure onto Artemis. There's going to be Pun going down on the front line. Slater's able to kind of kick out to everywhere else. There's not going to be too much damage left. They could defend this tower. Nice hook somehow fitting between that little space. It's not going to be anything too crazy, as you still have plenty of health bar left. They have to go back and defend their base. That's what's really under duress right now on the side of Cerberus. They're able to burn the Guardian Angel. That was a positive thing. That is at least one tool down here for the side of SBTCE. Even though they're going to be able to clean up this top tower, shouldn't be too much else going down in theory. As you do have Pun and Drakthar down. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe actually there's full 5 members here from the side of SBTCE. They should have more than enough to be able to at least bring down another inhibitor. That's a massive... I don't even know how he hits that. Emperor comes out of nowhere, finds a pillar, finds a knock-up on all 3 members. And that's just the death sentence right then and right there, as SBTCE putting their foot down. Maybe one last hold here for the side of Cerberus, because they've got Drakthar back. They're going to have Pun back. They don't have Artemis. That's going to be Yada going down. So the primary damage dealers, which is completely out of this fight. Here comes Slater back into the fight after re-entering, healing up a bit on the way. It just doesn't matter. Like, they're playing with their food at this point. SBTCE, despite getting challenged a bit in the mid game by the side of Cerberus, eventually they end up making things work. No pick tools can dig Cerberus out of the hole that they had at the beginning of this game. And with that, they're going to be taking game number 1 of our last series before the finals. Yeah, it turns out a lot of it was all an elaborate ruse. We didn't actually need Slater.